I'd like to welcome everyone to this week's edition of Software Spotlight, your front row seat to the latest innovations in software for small business. I'm Michael Burnsmark, your host, and each week we're joined by executives at leading software companies to get an insider's perspective on the emerging technologies, business strategies, and market trends shaping the future. Tune in to stay ahead of the curve on leveraging software to boost productivity and growth in your business. Be sure to visit our website, softwareoasis.com, to access our free weekly software newsletter and sign up for our upcoming software webinar series. Today, we're joined by Gladys Margarita Dias, founder of Urbaniza Realty and co-founder of Astronest AI, an AI startup in the real estate space. Gladys uses tech to transform the home buying experience. Astronest goes beyond the search engine's experience. It's a decision engine, and they focus on the consumer and provide guidance for decision making based on large language models and visual sourcing. So, with that, welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Doing great, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day as you were and your team are just getting the solution to market. So I know it's
Mhm.
a busy time, and really appreciate you taking the time out. I was hoping maybe you could give our listeners a little bit of background on your industry knowledge in terms of real estate, and then how you decided and partnered up and decided to come to market with this AI solution.
Well, I believe that if you go to parties and you talk to the people that are next to you, your life will always get better. And this has worked for me for decades. And I'm telling you this from the heart. I'm an architect by training. I went to Cornell University. When I graduated, I moved to New York City and I wanted to learn finance. So I decided Wall Street is over there. Those people print money. I want to learn how to finance my projects. And I got into that. And then I wound up working on the equities trading floor for an investment banking concern because I went to a cocktail party and I talked to a guy at the dip table and I said, I am a real estate person and I have a securities license. And he says, come work for me.
Oh, that's
And
great.
the rest is history. So that was kind of my introduction to capital markets. And then I went on to come back to Miami and say, okay, now I'm ready to be my own business person. And I have a
Sure.
company, Urbaniza Realty, and we basically have been servicing, the environment here. I come at the real estate to the real estate world from a completely different viewpoint because I look at the physical product, which is the building and the city that it's in. So in my universe, real estate is architecture for sale. And, this is a universe of three silos, if you will. You have the
Sure.
financial services industry. That's where you get the money. Then you have the design and the construction industry. That's where you create the product. And then real estate sales, brokerage, that's where you get the product in the hands of the user. So that's the flow. And I have worked in all three of those industries. And what that does is that informs you dimensions of thinking that you would never have thought of. And that's basically why when I went to a dinner with a bunch of people, I sat next to a guy and I said, I have an idea for an app to do visual searching. And I'm wondering if and I'm thinking about it and I'm interviewing technology guys. And he says, oh, I can help you with that. I just sold my company and I'm looking for a new project. And I'm like, sold. I'm we're here. And for a year and a half, he's been a lovely, lovely partner to work with. He's extremely genius. His world is consumer data. He was the CEO of a company called Absolute Data. He sold that to Infogain. And now we are working 1000% on developing this product. Right now, you think about how the universe of real estate searches are occurring, right?
Sure.
So now you have to I look at it as, how does a client find what they want? And he looks at it from the consumer data science side, which is used by Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, all the different consumer product companies, how they utilize consumer data to customize their service for their customer. That's what we're going to do. We're looking at this as a decision engine, not a search engine. And we're going to add the ability to look at both the quantitative and the qualitative side of the equation. And what do I mean by that? The qualitative is, how do you experience a property? How do you experience a neighborhood? What's the vibe that you're looking for? What style do you like? Right? A lot of people, I don't know if you've ever heard people refer to the movie The Holiday, right? Have you seen it?
Sure.
With
Yeah.
Kate? Okay. So one woman has a very modern house and the other woman has a very traditional house, and then they switch lives and they both learn a lot from that experience. Each property has its own identity and its own, sort of visual communication that the customer really reacts to. It's an emotional universe, and yet the real estate world does not address that, does not really look at that. If you look at all of how do you find a property right now? Right? You
So
go to a
you're really
certain
looking at the emotional and all of the different aspects of
the
the
experience.
experience. Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole experience. And it's not just a speeds and feeds and the data and tech and all of that. And especially as the market tightens up and, inventory becomes more and more available, I think that tech like this will clearly, add a lot of value to the market space. So how do you see the existing solutions in the market? Because obviously, clearly, all you have to do is turn on the radio. I mean, there are some big players in the market space. How do you see this solution offering some unique value that'll be different than what's out there in terms of providing real competitive advantage or moat for your solution?
First of all, we are what's called native AI built. In
Okay.
other words, that's different than existing solutions that are adding AI to the mix. Very different. Okay, so
Okay.
there's legacy players that are very good and they've been there for a long time. And now they're adding AI to what they're offering their customers. And their
Sure.
customers could be the agents or the buyers and the sellers. So those are the three players, right? Then there's the other side of the equation, which is native AI. And our goal is to not necessarily have like one piece of a solution, but more an integrated solution. So we're built on native AI, and we're not a legacy entity, we're a new entity. Does that make
Sure.
sense? Okay.
Absolutely.
So the other thing is that we looked at, how do you get data? You get it as a wall of information. The descriptions are a lot of words, and our community, our world is very visual. Think about it. How do you make decisions? You look at something and you either like it or you don't like it, or it resonates with you, or makes your heart go pitter patter, et cetera, et cetera. So how can I make the experience of the user be more visual, be more something that responds to what they can respond to? Does that make sense to
Sure.
you?
Yeah. So
Okay.
really baking that into the solution from the beginning
From the
versus
beginning.
bolting it on as an add-on afterwards.
I believe that's the nomenclature. Yes,
Yes.
bolting on.
Sounds right on the target. And as you're launching the company, I know you before the podcast we spoke for a little bit, and you mentioned that the team is feverishly getting the product ready for launch. As you're launching, how do you see the initial group of users? Do you envision that you'll start putting the product out regionally with a beta set of customers experiencing the solution, or do you plan to launch nationally or globally at the outset, or what are the steps that you're hoping to take to get the product to market so you can get that feedback from the end users?
We have a lovely individual who's working with us, who is one of our partners, and she is developing the go to market even as we speak.
Perfect.
And what we're doing is basically creating a launch sequence. It's kind of like, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And our goal is first, we have localized information and we test it, the structured data and the unstructured data. And we go through that exercise. Now, I'm in Miami, Florida, the capital of Latin America.
Yes.
And our real estate company, as I told you earlier, we service three types of people or entities, and they're all refugees. We serve
Yeah.
refugees from Latin America who are fleeing dictatorships. We service refugees from the snow, from the winter, and we service refugees from high tax states. And so working with that, you have to look at yourself as a national practice, even though you're localized, because Miami's a global city. We
Sure.
deal with both international as well as domestic clients. So our viewpoint is, number one, the data that's available is totally nationwide. The information that I look at, and let's rewind and go back to my days on Wall Street, is the mortgage-backed securities industry, which has national information. There's national data. And when I look at a city, the types of issues that are embraced by residents of different neighborhoods is pretty much a standard thing across the United States in terms of what makes a community exciting to live in, what makes it a good place to live. What do people say? Like, I love living here, or I want to live there. There's certain parameters that are common to all cities, and the development of projects is very common, in terms of how they approach it. So if we have a national, think global, act local, and that's our approach.
And let me ask you, obviously getting a new tech company off the ground is no small task. Do you envision that initially the company will be bootstrapped in terms of funding, or do you envision launching with some outside capital, or how do you plan to finance the company?
Thus far, it's been bootstrapped. We're now in fundraising mode.
Okay,
We're
so
ready
you
to
will
go there.
be
We're ready to go there.
okay. So
Because
that'll
we've
be the next.
tested. We feel comfortable enough that this is the next step.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of people listening to the podcast are wondering, is this another opportunity? And obviously the answer is yes. So that's
Absolutely,
good to hear.
yes.
And I think at a high level, there's a lot of hopefully you'll remember me when, but a lot of interesting tech has launched very quickly with AI, and using AI as the foundation for building a new solution is important. Have you come up with the initial name that you'll be going to market with?
Right now, we're using Astronest because I always thought that we want to find your place in the universe,
Oh, okay.
and
Makes sense.
it's a universe of opportunities to live anywhere, because now with work from home, people that live in cold states can move to Sunbelt cities. They can look for houses in small towns that feel comfortable to raise families as opposed to big cities. Or you can live close to a university in a rural area so that you can have access to knowledge and activities that make you happy.
Right.
Those are all the things that I've seen in the last 2 years since the pandemic happened. You remember there was a great migration to Florida.
Sure.
And since I've been researching all this, I'll tell you an example. We had a tenant in a multifamily building who said he was moving out, and I said, "Oh, you bought a house?" "Yeah, I bought a house outside of Orlando, Florida." "Oh, that's wonderful. Where do you work?" "Oh, I work in downtown Miami." And I go, "Oh, that's a great commute." And he said, "That's very simple. I remote work. I go in once every 2 weeks, and I'm happy. I want to raise my kids in a small town." And so that was his goal.
Makes
And
a
I
lot of
think,
sense.
and so I think now there's so many more opportunities. The universe has opened up to making decisions about where you want to live, how you want to live. And I think that it's a beautiful time to be in this industry. I know that there's been a lot of issues that have been talked about. I think that the industry is going to go through some evolution, but I can see that since I've been in the mortgage finance industry, if you recall, in 2008, 2009, the entire industry lost their license. Like, if you were a licensed mortgage broker in 2010, you were out of business. And you had to take your exam over again, and you got to get registered. And not only that, you have to do continuing ed every year. And so the regulations changed, but the business still happened, and it's different now, and it's evolved, and it's morphed, as you call it. And I think that that's what's going to happen to real estate, and I hope that we are on the leading edge of what the changes are going to be. That's what we're trying to think ahead.
Well, it sounds like a brilliant idea. As far as getting the product to market, do you have a projected launch date as to when you're hoping to get the solution in the hands of the first set of users, or are you still developing that
Well, I
plan?
think I think we're looking at my birthday, which is June.
Okay.
Okay. I think my partners don't know that that's my birthday month. So they had already said June, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a birthday present." And,
I love it. Yeah.
and I think that that's kind of our timeline thus far.
Sure.
And you mentioned something, that there's been a lot of different solutions created over the last year since ChatGPT was announced, OpenAI and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to point out the fact that my partner, Anil, has been working with AI for many years. And one of our co founders, he's my co founder, one of our colleagues, has been developing AI together with Anil in his old iteration for many years. And they have been using AI to help their customers at that moment in time. So we're extrapolating that experience into present time. This is not people who just woke up and said, "I think I'm going to be an AI guy." No,
Yeah.
these guys have been AI guys for quite some time. And that's the beauty of why I feel this very strongly about the success of this, because it's built on experienced professionals as opposed
Yeah, and
to
I guess that would be my question. So for, obviously if you're going to be heading down that road of taking on funding, can you tell us a little bit more about the founding team? So it would be obviously yourself, and
Anil Kaul that I mentioned before. He's the former CEO of Absolute Data. He sold that to Infogain, and he's been in the AI sphere for many, many years in consumer data. His colleague Rajat Narang, who is our AI technology guy, chief operating officer. Our go-to-market person is Sonia Sawani, and she's also Cornell grad, and she comes to us from experience in Microsoft, LinkedIn. She's done a lot of different types of projects over the years. So there's the four of us. We're kind of the core. And then we have the engineering team that Anil is basically directing and Rajat is running. I'm really, really, really proud of the group that we have.
yeah, no, it sounds really exciting. And obviously we'll have to do a follow-up episode once the solution is live, so you can give everyone a nice demo and all of that. But yeah, clearly getting a new solution off the ground is not only a lot of work, but something that if done properly and with the right team and in the right space, which it sounds like you are, has a huge opportunity. And it sounds like you're bringing a lot of your experience over the years, not only in finance and tech, but specifically in the real estate space, to this project. So there's a lot of value there, and I think at a high level it makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
As far as the concept behind the tech, do you have an idea of who the who the customer is? Is the customer the home buyer? Is the customer the the different real estate agencies that may use the technology? Is it a little bit of both? Who would be the customers for the platform?
I think that we're in an evolutionary moment in our industry right now. So it's going to be very hard for me to answer that with precision. I can
Sure.
say that we are focusing on the consumer and
Okay.
the
Because they're going to drive, yeah.
and how is the agent going to benefit. The agent is going to be able to work more closely and more easily with the consumer. And so then, you talk about the big companies, the real estate companies. That's an open question,
Sure.
because
No, and obviously, with all of the recent announcements with MLS and the rest, there's been a lot of shake up and change in the industry, at a high level, and clearly a lot of disruptive technologies and a lot of question marks at a high level. So it's
I'm,
really, really interesting.
one of the benefits of having been through several crises is that it's not going to go away. It's going to get better. And it's always, you have to look at the different changes in the banking industry over the years, the different changes in mortgage financing, the different
Yeah.
changes in even on Wall Street.
Oh, absolutely.
Back in the day when,
Yeah,
they
I would
thought, oh, the
absolutely
Dow is
agree. Yeah.
2000 and the Dow's going to go to 20,000. And people thought we were crazy. And so those are the kind of things that I've seen happen. And I know that what's going on now is merely just something you have to get through. And at the
Yeah,
other
and
side, there's going to be a better way to do it.
yeah, and at the end of the day, as technology pushes the envelope forward, there are changes, and let's face it, what you're doing today probably won't be exactly what you're doing tomorrow, but hopefully a lot of these technologies make the day to day for a lot of people easier and better, and provide the market the solution it's looking for. So that makes a lot of sense. So that
Every crisis has yielded us something that has made the industry better. So
absolutely.
think about 2008, the MERS crisis, where nobody could match the mortgages to the owners. That was the birth of big data, and sort of documenting all of the mortgages and who are the owners and all that. The technology evolved, it made it better and easier, and then you have the advent of the online mortgage industry, right? Rocket Mortgage, biggest
Sure.
lender there is. So it's something that makes life, it gives you different opportunities, and you just have to kind of figure out where the ship is going to go.
Yeah, and one interesting point, obviously the whole home buying process can be a stressful process for individuals, and I think anything that you can do that takes some of the stress out of that process is helpful. But um, what do you see as some of the important um, details in terms of what's important in the process of the home buying experience for consumers that technology you think can help to enable?
Well, what we're trying to do is to help people find the neighborhood that fits their vibe. Like, where do I belong in this universe? That's really, what are my choices?
Sure.
And these are my parameters for the choices, and what's important to you and how you choose. So what you're saying is what things are, knowing where you're going to go, knowing what you're looking for, the type of product that you're looking for, what kind of structure you're looking for, a traditional house, a modern house, a ranch house,
Sure.
a small bungalow. Those things, narrow down your focus, because the worst part is when you spend hours upon hours and you don't see what you're looking for.
Right.
That's the biggest stress.
Yeah, and I would think that a lot of people may not know what they're looking for at the beginning of the whole process. And obviously technology is a great way to help someone, maybe guide their journey
Mm-hmm.
towards towards a great outcome is a good high level goal to be able to get to where you want to get to. And are there other, aspects of the home buying journey that you think are important to consider as you're looking at the evolution of the product?
I think that basically, like you've mentioned, which is to take moments of stress and try to reduce those moments of stress. The qualifying for the mortgage is something that has to happen at the very beginning, because you have to know how much are you going to be able to afford. And then
Sure.
the technology should be able to present you options that is in your style, in the neighborhood that you seek, that you're going to be able to access. And if you can't access in the neighborhood you seek, what are alternatives that you can explore? I think all of that is very, very time consuming and frustrating for people who go through the search situation with just looking at the photos and, oh my God, this is a cute house. Oh no, I can't afford it. Oh my God, this is a great yard. Oh no, I can't be there. That kind of thing. Making sure that the frustrations are very, very limited.
And how do you feel the solution will scale as the markets change? Because clearly markets continuously, ebb and flow with interest rates, with the economy, with lots of different things impact the real estate market. Um, how do you envision that the solution will scale as different changes happen in the market?
It's like riding a roller coaster. You're in the cart. You go with the flow, right? You have to learn. I've been in business a really long time, and I've had to pivot every time the wind blew from a different direction and
Sure.
focus on a different aspect of the industry, right? So my industry is the built environment. I come to it with a very broad viewpoint. What can I do today? Okay, this isn't available. Okay, I'm going to do that. And I think that we are prepared to go towards the market, to adapt and be flexible, to basically create something that's going to help the market to recover, if you will, if it gets challenged, or to strengthen it. I mean, you have to be something that contributes to the motion of survival.
So once the product is launched, obviously iterating and getting feedback from users is going to be important. Do you envision, you know, partnerships with other companies or entities in the space in terms of whether it's, financing companies or other, entities that might already be in the market that may be in a slightly different segment of the market, or do you really envision, launching the product and pushing forward in a solo fashion?
That's something that we're exploring, you
Okay.
know, which pathway. Remember, this is, different paths.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting because obviously there are so many different directions you can go, and maintaining focus on what you're doing is obviously a very important aspect to it. But there's a
Our
lot of
true
opportunity, and it's so hard when you have all these shiny objects all over the place. Where do you focus?
our true north is developing a decision engine for the consumer who is buying a house, and to assist the agent to help hey, you know that phrase that Jerry Maguire said, help me help you,
Yeah,
right? I'm using a lot of movie quotes, but okay.
it's
um
okay.
he was talking about the consumer, help me, the agent, help me help you. Let's use this tool to help you make a decision, and I will help you through the process.
So let me ask you, once the solution is to market, so hopefully in June, um, how do you see your role shifting within the organization? Do you envision you'll still be guiding the tech in terms of your knowledge of the real estate industry, or do you think you'll be taking on a different role? Or
I don't think I'm going anywhere. I have to
oh,
continue. Yeah.
yeah, okay, all right. So
It's not
you
gonna,
envision,
yeah, it's never gonna end. I'm, startups, you know how that goes. You give it a lot of, and I'm an educator. As I told you, I was a faculty member at Cornell for several years. I created an internship program for students who wanted to learn how to finance affordable housing. That was like one of the things that I did for the architecture profession. And I think that there's a lot of information that needs to get out there, and I think that I can communicate it. I also have something that not a lot of people have is I'm bilingual, and I communicate to the fastest growing consumer market in the United States, which is the Hispanic community. And I have done business in English and I've done business in Spanish. And believe me, it's a process. And I look forward to being able to represent our product to the entire United States and all of the different cultures that live here, all of the different people. I know I can speak to one language, to one particular consumer group. And I'm happy to say that the homeownership in the Hispanic community has expanded, by a very high percentage in the last 4 years, 5 years. And I think of it as something that's growing, not shrinking. So,
no,
that's,
that's very exciting. And as far as the market itself that you're targeting, do you envision that the solution will have a sweet spot at one point in the market, maybe higher end priced homes, entry level priced homes, or is it
mm,
to be determined as you get the product to
I think
market?
the market will tell us. The market tells you what they want, what's going to be, what's needed. It's like you always see like, oh, I think I'm going to go in that direction, and boom, this happens, and you're like, wow, I
Sure.
didn't know these guys really needed it.
Yeah.
So I think that we want to remain open to whatever the market. You always do what the market will bear, so to speak.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, really exciting. I really appreciate your taking the time out to share with our Software Spotlight community. I know
Thank you.
everyone is always looking to hear about the latest in tech, and I think we maybe this time got in very early, and I hope you'll welcome us back with open arms as you get the solution off the ground, and we can do a follow-up at that time.
Thank you. Gracias.
Yes.
Ha
Thank you so
sido un
much for joining
placer.
us. And Gladys, coming up on our next episode, we have Brad Dickinson. He's the co-founder and CEO of Social HP, a leading social media marketing agency with over a decade of experience in digital marketing. He has helped numerous businesses leverage the power of social platforms to drive engagement, build brand awareness, and generate leads. At Social HP, he oversees a team of social media experts who craft data-driven decisions and strategies tailored to each client's unique goals and brand. So we'll cover that on our next episode. Gladys, thank you so much for joining us on Software Spotlight today.
Thank you.